This week on the Baseline Podcast, Josh and I are back from a short hiatus away from the show. As we get back in the swing of things, we talk about, well, everything that's been happening from the NBA playoffs to the NHL playoffs to what's happening in baseball to even the news in the NFL. All that and so much more coming up on the Baseline Podcast. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Baseline Podcast. Yes, we are back.
We are back.
That's Josh. And after like a 2-week hiatus / sabbatical, is that what we're calling? I don't even know what we're calling it. We're calling it a sabbatical, Josh. Anyways, how are you doing, Josh? Let us know in your life. Is everything all right? You're not like dying of some disease that we don't know about, like COVID or anything.
I'm all good.
I said that word.
The reason I've been out of the loop the last couple of weeks is I've just had a short staff at work. I've had to get new employees hired in and trained, and I was preoccupied with that. And then Ben on the other end, a lot of football games to coach and stuff. So just that never could find a day and time that works for all of us. But it is a nice little refresher. Ben sounds a lot more energetic on his side with the intro there, and I think we're gonna have a lot more energy today. Just with the break, all refreshed, ready to go, excited to be back. I mean, it's also too that we're recording this at like 5:30 my time, where I'm not like also dead not
tired.
1 a.m. And
like
we're over here about 11:41 Eastern Standard Time over here
in the morning.
Yeah.
No, but it's been good. And I think an update on our football season. Right now in the HFL, in our top league here in Hungary, we're fighting for a playoff spot this weekend. So as this is coming out, be thinking of Ben as I'm going out and coaching, and hopefully we're going to get a playoff clinching win this weekend, which would be freaking awesome. And then the other team, well, we got our first win. So we are on our way up. That's as they say. But no, we are here. Josh, we have many topics. Many things have happened since we last recorded. I think we recorded about almost
many things have happened, and I don't think we're going to talk about things that happened 2 weeks ago just because everybody's already talked about those. It's old news. But currently,
yes,
we might have an NBA Finals matchup by the time that this episode comes out here.
We're going with the thought of that this is not going to be the Cleveland Cavaliers Warriors series. This is what we're going with here.
Right. So it appears at the moment it will be the Miami Heat versus the Denver Nuggets.
Josh is watching his words very carefully.
Very carefully. I don't want to speak definitively here, but we do know for sure the Denver Nuggets are there. That was Ben's Western Conference Finals pick. That was mine. He convinced me to join him in that. Out of the East, Philadelphia did not make it.
No.
I can't remember. Who did you pick out of the East?
I think I had the Bucks. I think it was the Bucks or did I have the 76ers? I can't remember.
I had Sixers. Maybe we both had
Bucks.
the Sixers.
I know I had the two. Who was the 3 seed? Who was the 3 seed?
Is Boston the 3 seed?
Boston,
or is Philly the 3 seed?
I think whatever. I knew I had Boston or Milwaukee because we went opposite. And
Milwaukee, Boston, and Philly were 1 through 3. I think in some
one of those
capacity,
3.
Yeah.
I had one of those 3. But then the Miami Heat just decided to be old Kevin Love. Just to be Kevin Love again.
Yeah, the Miami Heat. You just don't see teams like them.
No,
everybody thought that the run that they made in the bubble.
I mean,
was
the same with the Lakers, though. The Lakers are the same way in the West. Even though they didn't win it all the way through, they still did the same thing in a sense.
Right. Made it all the way to the Western Conference Finals. And Denver took care of them, though. They are here. Impressions on Denver, Ben. I know they haven't had the most strong run, but they earned that with the 1 seed in the West. They just had to get by Minnesota. They had to play Phoenix without DeAndre Ayton and Chris Paul. And then they play the Lakers, who are a 7th seed that may not have deserved to be there to begin with. So maybe not the most tested, but that's why you take the regular season seriously, I guess. So you can get that 1 seed and you earn that easy route to the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, one thing we learned is Jokic should have been the MVP, and I think he took it personally. I don't think he'll ever say this, but I think he took it very personally that Embiid got it over him. Like, if you watch the difference of those two dudes in the playoffs, Jokic looked like a guy that you would be scared to death to face in a one-on-one underneath the bucket. I mean, he looked like a guy that just said, you know what, I'm going to carry this team. And I know he didn't only carry the team. Obviously, there was, Murray and some other guys that really stepped up. But you look at, this dude had what, 8 triple-doubles? 7 triple-doubles? Something like that?
Walking triple-double, man.
I mean, unreal. And the people don't realize this guy is 7 foot tall. He's 290 pounds. He's not like a 250-pound dude. Like, this dude is a big mammoth of a human.
Tyson Fury looking human.
Yeah, like he's ginormous. but yeah, he's the most loving, kind of like down to earth guy. And I think that's why everyone loves Denver, is because this whole team is not like a bunch of cocky egos. There's a lot of really guys that just they want to play for each other. Jeff Green's on that team, who I think's been playing with every freaking superstar you can imagine over the last few years. But no, I think in general, what impressed me about the Nuggets is they didn't let the hype of the Lakers and the story of the Lakers derail them in that finals. I thought they had an easy road to get to the finals, at least in my opinion. And to see them just dominate the Lakers the way they did, I think that goes to show that this team is legit and we can't doubt them like we've done the last few years. Last few years we've said, well, the Nuggets, they'll get to the finals, or they'll get the Western Conference Finals, or they'll get, close to there, but they'll never be that team. And I think this year they are that team, because I don't think there's any other team in the West that really stepped up to the plate. And I think that's
right. Sacramento, I think, lost in the first round.
Yeah,
Memphis obviously also lost
Warriors
in the first
didn't look
round.
the same.
Yeah. Let me tell you another reason why I love this Denver team. It's because, like we mentioned, Nikola Jokic, Jamal Murray, Michael Porter Jr., all their best players from the draft, built through the draft. This is an anti-super team, and we're going to be talking about it with the Miami Heat too, an anti-super team.
Exactly.
The Clippers were supposed to have 3 rings by now with Kawhi and Paul George, were they not? The Nets were supposed to have, with the KD, Harden, and Irving combo, 5 rings at this point in 3 years.
Lakers won.
And yeah, the Lakers got the one with LeBron and AD, and they've even had some misses in the playoffs. But we got Denver and Miami, 2 teams largely built through the draft, or just like in Miami's case, a lot of scrappy on-signed guys too, kind of as a supporting cast.
And I think before we get to the Miami, I do want to touch on the Lakers for a second. In your opinion, Josh, and I know we both have followed basketball for a very long time. We follow LeBron's career obviously a lot. Is this where we start seeing the beginning of the end of because I think there's a point when you look, if you're the Lakers front office, and go, how much more can we ride on LeBron's coattails? I know that sounds very disturbing, and to some people think that's offensive to LeBron. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying though is that LeBron can only take you so far. AD is hurt pretty much every single year for multiple months. You have role players that show up sometimes but then disappear in big moments. So my question for you, Josh, is, do you think, one, is this the end of this kind of like, do you think now we're seeing LeBron's now going to have to be more of that, maybe they'll make the playoffs every year kind of player? Or do you think like, hey, they can put one more run together and kind of send him off in the sunset? Because I think there's a very strong possibility that LeBron James retires this year. I think there's a very strong possibility that no one's
before Bronny arrives.
I think so. You know how much he loves being a dad. I would not put it past him to say, look, I'm making billions of dollars. By the time I'm like 80 years old, he's gonna be making billions, right? Like, he doesn't need the money. He doesn't is he willing to put away that ego and just say, I want to be a dad and I want to support my son. I want to support, his other son as well, and his daughter, who's also a younger kid. That's my question. So like, you could kind of answer all those at once if you want, or kind of combine that. And what's your thoughts?
We'll go ahead with that. So this season, LeBron averaged 29 points, 8 rebounds, about 7 assists at age 38. Next season, he's going to be 39, but he did only get action in 54 games this year. So
his injuries
not as healthy
as
he used to be. 56 games the season before that, and before that, 45 games. So yeah, maybe health-wise, like the thing that's been so incredible about LeBron throughout his career has been his health. He's missed 2 or 3 games tops most seasons. I have seen the idea floated that maybe he sits this next coming season out just to like rest, watch Bronny at USC,
and then when
whichever
Bronny
team
declares,
drafts Bronny joins that team as like a free agent just for one more season, be like the first dad-son duo. Which, I mean, it's so hard to do that in the NBA, to play that long and last till you're 40 years old. I could see that scenario. I just think LeBron really wants to do that. I think he wants to play with Bronny one season, and I don't think if he did retire this year, it would be permanent. It would just be like a 1-year break until whoever drafts Bronny drafts him, I guess. Or if Bronny, I don't know how his college career is going to go. Maybe he's not going to be good enough to go one and done.
Still bummed he didn't go to Ohio State, by the way. Still salty about that.
Maybe they come as a package deal as an undrafted rookie after his freshman season, and then LeBron is like, LeBron, and it sells tickets.
Oh, geez. So unless he goes to somewhere like freaking, like, I don't know. I would love it if it was like
gets
ended
drafted
up
like in the later rounds by
he just goes to like some team that's got a terrible market. Like, I think that'd be great. And just LeBron just overwhelms the market would just be awesome. Like Utah,
Terrible market, like a Utah or a
or
Portland
Portland,
or
like just like you just see the wave of people.
yeah, that hop on that bandwagon.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
but I guess that's kind of like my thoughts on LeBron in general. Don't think you can rely on him to be putting up those kind of
he
numbers
can't
at
carry
this
a
point.
team. I don't think he's going to be able to carry a team ever again. Like I hate to say that about LeBron, but I don't think LeBron is the guy where you're going to say, "Hey, go out and play me 75 games and lead this team."
And score 30 points,
He
get
can
10
give you
rebounds
he
and
could
8
give
assists
you
or
he
whatever.
could give you 60 at like a 28 8-8 clip, but we've noticed over the last years it's never been more than like 62 games. Like, are you going to get 60 games? Do you get 50 games?
The last time LeBron played more than 60 games was the 2019-20 bubble season.
Yeah, and that was in a bubble. Like, that was pretty much just like no travel at all. So that's where, like, for me, it's just we'll see what happens. Obviously, but now let's move over to the Heat and Celtics. Now, again, we want to reiterate the series is not over as we are recording this. But let me be honest and clear. It was 3-0. If somehow the Celtics miraculously go up 4-3, then you know what? And they win at 4-3, awesome. You know what? Then we're proven wrong, but I highly doubt it. And I think the Heat win this next game and they go to the finals. But yeah, give me your thoughts on this series, and then as maybe we both predict, obviously the Heat going to the finals. Like, what do you think of this matchup of the probably the most unlikely two teams to be in the finals?
Yeah, it's interesting when you look over at Boston, and the first thing I think of is, I guess, all the rumors of firing their head coach,
Yeah.
which we've seen Phoenix fire their coach after
Yep.
the series against Denver. We've seen Philly
Philly.
fire Doc Rivers, the king of winning the least with the most, and now we might see another head coach fired this playoffs if Boston ends up losing to the 8 seed Miami Heat. So wild stuff about how I guess the NBA just doesn't care about coaches
No, they
or
don't.
having a good one, or I guess how much rings you got to win to even be able to keep a job or whatever. But I've heard criticism of Jason Tatum in this series. I've heard criticism of Jaylen Brown in this series, and
Which is all fair, I
some of
think.
it, some of it is fair.
Yeah.
Tatum scored over 30 points in 3 of these 4 games. Brown's been the one that I think you could maybe say has been more of a
No inside
disappointment.
game. They've had no inside game.
And that's
Really.
another thing too, is Miami with Bam Adebayo.
Yeah, I love Bam.
That's such a mismatch when you only have to worry about Al Horford, I guess, on the other side, and who's
I
the
mean,
other
they
one?
have Kevin.
Robert Williams.
I mean, you have Kevin Love too, who stretches it. Who I'm
Mm-hmm.
very jealous of the fact that the Cavs should. I think the Cavs. If you would have saw what the route Cavs would have had to take to make it to the finals, I would have been like, dude, I would have bet on the Cavs to do it. But of course they didn't because it's the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Yeah. So, yeah. I really got to give credit to Miami in this
Yeah,
one, and that Bam Adebayo versus Nikola Jokic matchup,
dude.
if we get that in the finals, is going to be very interesting.
Yeah.
Because
Well,
everybody
even
talks about how great of a defender Bam is, but I mean, are they going
Jokic
to
is good
have
too.
him be on the perimeter
Yeah.
because Jokic can stretch the floor and pass really well? Is Bam going to be like out on the perimeter and open up the lanes for guys like Michael Porter and Aaron Gordon? I don't know if they can do that.
Dude, Denver is a dangerous team, and we'll talk about that in a second. But one thing I want to say is Max Struss. He's not really a well-known player on the Heat, but he actually played against Cedarville when I was a student assistant at Cedarville when he played for, I forget the team name he played for. But anyways, he transferred to DePaul, I believe it was, and then he went on and drafted and then signed with the Heat. But I just thought that was very fascinating that maybe I shook hands with a guy that's going to play in the finals this year. Because obviously he remembers me totally. Not at all. He doesn't remember a single thing of me.
For sure.
I did give him a sandwich, though. I did give him a sandwich after a game.
Gave
So
him
he
a
should remember.
sandwich.
He should remember me. Just saying.
All right.
I'm just saying.
Taking care of the important stuff. But I guess the last thing to say about Miami is just Jimmy Butler.
Dude, Jimmy Butler, man. It's just
This man was on the Philadelphia 76ers
Yep.
not too long ago with Joel Embiid, Ben Simmons, and Tobias Harris.
Couldn't do
And
nothing.
Philly decided to pay Ben Simmons and Tobias Harris and let Jimmy walk because he couldn't stretch the floor and hit threes on
Because Ben Simmons is totally doing that.
Yeah, right, because Ben Simmons can do that for sure. And in hindsight now, Joel Embiid and Jimmy Butler might be the best 1-2 punch in the league if that came
scary.
about. So very common L over on the Philly side.
How do you feel about Kevin Love though? Being able to have this success,
Kevin Love?
like having that success now in Miami after leaving Cleveland.
I mean, we both kind of like shoved a foot in our mouth with that, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. Yeah,
we didn't think that it would really work out.
Because it wasn't.
Going to Miami
Well, it wasn't. because the first few games he was really struggling. The first like 2 week stretch, he was doing nothing, and then all of a
Even in
sudden
the
he's coming
Boston
up.
series, he hasn't scored more than 10 yet.
Yeah,
But I mean, they're winning games, and we didn't think that they'd be making it out of the first round against that Milwaukee
that's
team.
true.
So I mean, good choice for
Yeah.
Kevin Love, I guess.
So we
But
look at that matchup, Josh, between Miami and Denver. What does your gut tell you right now is going to happen in this series, and who comes out kind of like on top, do you think? If you had to pick it right now.
so gut feeling, Denver wins in 6, but
Oh,
I'm not going to disrespect Miami too much in
yeah,
this, and
yeah,
that's why I think 6, because they've had to beat the Bucks. If
yeah.
they end up in the finals, they had to beat the Celtics, and then they beat the Knicks, which I think most people figured would happen. But like I said earlier, Denver hasn't really been tested this series, really to
No.
no fault of their own. The other higher seeds in the West didn't take care of business. And then the toughest team they did play, Phoenix, had 2 of their superstars out of the
Yeah.
game, but still had to beat Kevin Durant and Devin Booker.
And then beat
So,
LeBron.
and they did beat LeBron, right? So I think Miami's maybe been a little bit more tested this series. They've been to the finals before. It's going to be fun to see, I guess, how Jokic and Murray handle that extra
Yeah.
pressure being the finals. So far, they've handled it very well in the
Yeah,
Western
very well.
Conference Finals. Both have balled out. I'm going to be excited to see that Jokic Bam Adebayo matchup. But even still, as good of a defender that Bam is, Jokic is going to have 3 or 4 inches on him. And then if you do take Bam out to the perimeter, then it's like like I said, you open up
Dangerous
those lanes
team.
for Gordon
It's a
and Porter to be
dangerous
able to
team.
dominate too. Yeah. I think Denver just has a little bit more star power, like as gritty as Miami can be with all these undrafted guys that just
You
play
need to
their
have those
hearts out. And as
guys.
much of a dog as Jimmy is, I gotta lean star power in an NBA final series. And I'm going Denver in 6.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Denver 5. I think I'm gonna go Denver again. I think the Heat, to be honest, I think Heat pull away the game one. I think Heat pull away game one. I think they surprise the Denver Nuggets a little bit. Kind of, you know how like when you get really amped up about a game and you kind of get too excited. I feel like that's what's gonna happen. The Nuggets are gonna get real excited. The Heat are gonna sneak one out. But then I think just Nikola Jokic is just gonna take over. I mean, Jokic, like you look at this team, this team is not like an overpaid team. Like this team is very like I think well-deserved pay with all their kind of guys. And Jokic, I mean, you saw some of the threes he was hitting like on LeBron and AD. Like, I mean, he was making shots that not a 7-footer, 295 pounds should be making. Right. We've never seen a guy his size make those shots or make those passes. Um, I do believe that every single game he's going to have a triple double. That's my other prediction is I think Jokic is going to have a triple double in every single game for the finals.
Mhm.
And I believe that the X factor for me in this series for the Nuggets is Porter Jr. I think if he can be that stretch guy that, we know what Murray does. We know what Aaron Gordon does. We know what Jokic does. But I think Porter is that guy that I think, man, if he can be that X factor, maybe that like Rashad Lewis or that, some of these guys that we remember in the past that were just stretch guys, Jeff Green, some of these guys that were stretch guys for other championship teams could be that guy. I think the Heat, I think Kevin Love is also an X factor. And I can't believe I'm saying this after I bashed him for about 2 weeks. But if Kevin Love can be the Kevin Love that they had back, in the finals with the Cavs, that is an X factor of, hey, you're stretching the floor. And I think that's going to be interesting. But again, who's guarding Jokic? Are you doubling him? Are you willing to let another guy be free? That's what I'm interested to see. Or heck, do we see a zone in the finals from the Miami Heat and just say, hey, beat us on the long ball? I don't know, but that's my thoughts. What do you think of those, Josh? Any X factor or like kind of side predictions you got?
Yeah, I agree with that. I think you can I guess we just assume that Jokic and Murray are going to take care of their
Yeah.
business, but is that third guy and I guess the leader of that supporting cast going to step up to the plate? And we've seen that cost some teams in the past in the finals,
Yes.
where you have a superstar and play like he as good as he usually would, and those supporting guys don't
I mean,
show
the
up.
Cavs were that way too.
Cavs have had moments like that in the past. We've seen even Golden State in the past have some of those moments.
Yeah.
Like Klay Thompson, this last series against the Lakers didn't really show up at
Yeah.
all, and it cost them dearly. But when you look over at Miami, like who the X factor is going to be, it's like Butler and Adebayo are the clear
Hero,
1-2
maybe.
over there, right?
Yeah.
And then the third guy, it's like, well, geez, is it Vincent? Is it going to be Duncan Robinson tonight? Is it going to be Martin? There's
Struss.
really not that clear cut third guy.
Yeah.
So I guess just the Miami bench, I guess, is going to have to
Eric
arrive.
Spoelstra, though, he could be an X factor too. I mean, the dude's been there, done that.
He's taken a lot of average-looking rosters to the playoffs, to the finals, to the Eastern Conference Finals. I think he's made 3 Eastern Conference Finals since LeBron's left
Yeah.
Miami. So it's like, gotta give credit to Spo too. Yeah, maybe he's the X factor for Miami too in this one. So, like I said, exciting series. It's one that I think I'm actually going to watch. I haven't really
I
followed
was
the
thinking about
NBA
too.
much
Yeah, I
lately,
was thinking about doing that
but
too.
these are games where it's like, this is what I've wanted. I don't want to see like all these super teams. I want to see teams like
Eh,
built through the draft. I want to see some grit.
yeah.
I want to see some guys that love playing basketball playing, and this is the finals.
Well,
So
I think you even said, I think back at the beginning of the basketball season, you said like, I just hope this year it produces 2 teams that are not superpowers. Like, I think you literally were
that's what
uttering
I've
those
been
kind of
looking for,
words.
man. Like no Nets, no Clippers, no
No
Lakers,
Lakers.
no like the
Because I think
teams that
we mentioned the Nuggets, we mentioned the Nuggets, we mentioned the Bucks,
the
the
Nuggets are a team that's
Cavs,
been built, the Bucks
the
have been built, the
Cavs,
Celtics have been built, Philly to an extent has been built,
Knicks, Cavs, those kind of
Cavs have been
teams.
built. Yeah, exactly.
Like teams that just are fun to watch because you're like, hey, those are dudes that I remember watching in college. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and now they're on this team, And I think a team next year, I know it's way too early, is the Thunder. Frick, the Thunder are going to be freaking amazing next year.
Once
And
those draft picks start
and
rolling in,
and I know that's our prediction. So I say 5, you say 6, both for the Nuggets. And then my prediction be correct all along because obviously Ben's a genius. But no, I think we can even mention Wembanyama. I mean, what do we think about that, Josh? I know we weren't planning to talk about this, but since we're on the NBA topic, what do you think about Wembanyama going to which I think is the perfect fit for this man to go to Popovich and into the place that just breeds big men. I think
so this
Wembanyama
is
could be a great
this is
spot.
that one potential first overall pick that
Yeah,
people are talking about,
seven
right?
foot
That's
7'4". He's about 200 and I don't know 50 pounds, but he's a freak. Like he can dribble, he can shoot. He's like Kevin Durant on stilts,
yeah, I've heard all the wild stuff like greatest prospect since
which
LeBron,
I
the
don't
greatest
believe it.
prospect in all of sports
Oh, that's a
since
stretch.
whatever.
That's a
And it's
stretch.
like, man,
He's from
like
France.
I got, and I know, and I mean, we've seen some good guys come out of the EuroLeague recently. The international game in
Yeah.
basketball is incredible right now. But when you start throwing all those kind of comparisons, I
It's
really
not
don't
good on the
believe it.
kid, but it's also not good on the
I
kid.
didn't hear comparisons like that, or I guess when guys like Giannis were coming out, I didn't hear
Yeah.
quite that wild, even for guys
Or
like Luka
Jokic.
Doncic,
Jokic was
Jokic.
drafted. Jokic was drafted during a Taco Bell commercial. The man didn't even get a TV time.
The guys that everybody has always compared to LeBron are guys like Sebastian Telfair, Jabari Parker, Wiggins, Ben Simmons, all these guys that didn't pan out. And
Yeah. Well,
I really
Wembanyama,
hope this
like,
is the next guy. But when
I
you're
mean,
making that lofty of a prediction, I think LeBron's really been the only prospect to really live up to all
yeah,
the hype that
and I
people gave
think,
him. It's so hard to do. And it's to no fault of the kid,
yeah,
but
exactly.
it's
I mean,
just I don't believe he's going to be like this. Zion
I think,
Williamson's another one that
yeah,
it's not entirely his fault with the health, but it's like when you put those kind of expectations on a guy, most likely they're not going to live up to them. And he could be a good player, but
yeah. I think with Wembanyama, it's just the freak that he is. He's like 20 years old. He's already 7'4". He's like still growing a little bit, they say. He's got a huge wingspan. I mean, he's ginormous. He has many multiple facets of his game, and I get that. But you're basically telling this kid from Paris, France, to fly over to be drafted by the Spurs, which I think, by the way, if there's any team that he should go to, is the Spurs. Popovich will mentor him,
and I
will
think the
help him
NBA
grow.
hates that. The
Oh,
most
they do. They hate it
boring
because
franchise
you now
to
have
go
you
to.
have Tim Duncan as an assistant coach who's going to mentor him. I think it's going to be the most awesome place for him. But if I'm him, do I sit back and go, should I just stay playing professionally in France? I don't have any pressure. I just be me. Because you're basically telling a kid, like, if you're not LeBron, they said if he does not reach the expectations of what Kevin Durant is, I'm like, dude, why are we comparing him to some? First off, he's 7'4". We've never seen anything like it. So why don't you let the kid be a kid? I'm a coach. I see it even on the football field. You put lofty expectations on a kid, he feels the pressure. He stumbles. He gets hurt more. He gets this stress on him. Let the kid be a 21-year-old when he gets drafted and let him develop. If you don't play him right away, then don't let him play right away. Let Tim Duncan work with this kid. And then, hey, if you get someone great, awesome. If not, hey, this kid can go back to France and be a good ball player.
We've even seen too some of those foreign guys like Ricky Rubio got drafted, I think, second overall and played 2 more seasons in Spain before he
Yeah,
finally came to the NBA. So
which
that
was
option's
smart,
always on the
which was
table,
really
I guess,
smart.
too.
They always keep the rights. The Spurs have the rights, I think, for like 4 years. So, like, if he wants
Yep.
to stay in France, let him play. But yeah, anyways, that is off topic. But Josh, I know we have a couple more topics that we wanted to talk about today. So, Josh, where are we going with this Next topic.
Moving over to the ice and giving an update on what's going on in NHL playoffs
the
now.
old slippery ice. By the way, there was a big hockey match here in Hungary. It's like between like Canada and Hungary. I didn't even know Hungarians played hockey that much, to be honest with you. I was in awe of the amount of people that went out for the hockey match. Couldn't even get on the tram. I was like stuffed between a bunch of old drunk hockey dudes. That was really awkward to be a part of. But anyways, that's besides the point.
Kind of like the NBA too. I think we know who's going to be in the Stanley Cup Finals because Vegas is ahead of Dallas 3-0 right now. And Florida is ahead 3-0 on Carolina right now.
Which is a little bit of a shock to me, I think, a little bit. But Bobrovsky, though, that's my dude, Bob. I like Bob.
I mean, especially Florida, right? They were the last seed to get into the East. They had to play Boston that first round, and they've just been the hottest team in hockey since they were down 3-1 to Boston. And Carolina was my pick to come out of the East.
That is true. It was, yeah.
Getting manhandled here by these Florida Panthers. And then Vegas and Dallas. I mean, that I don't think many people would be surprised by that if you told them that's how it was going to be. Maybe some people expected Edmonton to be there, just as how explosive their offense is. But Dallas, the Kraken could have heated up at the right moment, but Vegas was like middle of the pack in the West. Dallas Stars were either the 1 or 2 seed out there, or the 1 seed. I think Colorado was 2, and who I picked to come out of the West, and then they got bounced in the first round. So
you just did not have a good time.
And dude, I don't know if there's anything more hard to pick than NHL playoffs, dude.
I picked the Bruins to win it all, and then I just stopped talking.
And I just knew
hockey.
Like that was the only thing I was fairly certain on is Boston wasn't going to be in the cup. But everything else, I was like, Colorado's heating up at the right time. They're getting some of these guys back that they missed. And then out of the East, I was like, it's not going to be Boston, but maybe it could be Carolina. They defend well. True. And but the other interesting thing about these Final Four teams, Ben, is Dallas, Florida, Carolina, and Vegas, all warm weather.
I know. Climate. I saw that. I think I saw it on ESPN. I was like, you got like, it is ironic because people used to tell, they would always say like all these teams, hockey deserves to be in northern, like whatever, like the northern part of America.
Well, all those teams in Canada were trash, and all those teams in Minnesota, New York,
Columbus, trash.
Area, trash. Yeah, exactly. So it's like step up, boys. But just a quick update there, and I guess just the surprise. I mean, Florida.
So who do you think? So who do you think going to win then? If these series end,
if we have a Vegas Florida matchup, dude, I might. Here's the tough thing, man. Jack Eichel's been heating up over with Vegas.
Yeah, that is true.
Not really too many guys more unstoppable than that guy, but as a team, the Panthers are just playing so well right now. They've been squeaking out some of these low-scoring games too. Like their wins, like recently, have been 1-0 over Carolina, 2-1 over Carolina, 3-2. And then you get to the Toronto series and it's 3-2, 2-1, 3-2. Like there's not a whole lot of explosive offense like we've been seeing from the Vegas Golden Knights, but they've been doing enough to win over in Florida. The defense, like I said, has been insane. They're really going to have to do a number on Eichel in Vegas because these are the points that Vegas has been putting up. 4-0 their last game against Dallas, and then 3-2, 4-3, 5-2, and then you get to Edmonton series and they're 4-3, 4-1, 5-1, 5-1 games. Like they. And 6-4 in that first game, like they can score a lot, and you do need to be able to score a lot to win NHL playoff games. But it's like Florida's played some good offenses this series, or I mean on this run too. So it's tough to say if the Florida defense or the Vegas offense is going to prevail. But I might lean offense right now. Vegas can do enough defensively. I mean, they just shut out the Dallas Stars, so it's not like they're not playing good defense either. So I'm going to lean Vegas right now as like it's just my early gut thought. Vegas in maybe 6 games. It could go 7, but I hope we get a 7 game. But I'm leaning Vegas right now.
I don't have a coin, but I have this little thing here. I'm going to just flip it. All right, we're going to go with the Vegas Knights because that's about as much as I know and as much as I understand. So, I'm going to go with the Vegas Knights because I've been playing a lot of medieval video games lately. So we're going to go with the swords of the knights are going to pierce through those Panthers and skin them. Okay. Yeah. I'm animal activist. Sorry. But I don't want to, step on any toes or, build a wall too tall. Anyways, Gosh, that was my political joke for the day. Man, it's good to be back.
Good to be back, indeed.
From NHL. So we're gonna move from NHL. No offense to Jared. I know you're driving out to Colorado right now, but sorry, we don't really care as much about that. Now we're moving into. I believe we got. Do we have baseball talk? Or are we going to go football talk first?
We're gonna go football first.
Football first. Let's do it.
Not a whole lot has really happened since the draft. We've had a couple, I guess,
more transfer portals from Colorado and then to Colorado, because it's basically just like an open supermarket. Anybody that can go there.
I think they got some spots still that they got filled to have.
Can you play roster for them? Do you still have eligibility? I bet you could just suit up for Dion.
I don't think I ever used any year of my eligibility in the NCAA.
There you go. So, you could sign up.
Maybe. But anyway, yeah, NFL. Like I said, not a whole lot's really happened, but thought we could maybe talk about just some possible rookie of the year candidates,
for sure.
Offensively and defensively.
Yeah.
We obviously have our thoughts on who some of the better offensive and defensive players are, but sometimes you don't always go into a situation
that is true.
That allows, I guess, the potential, or you play a position that nobody's really going to care about. So it's kind of interesting looking at it from that perspective. And I'm just going to go ahead and kick it off with
let's do it.
Most likely to win offensive rookie of the year, I think.
Yeah.
And I know it's going to be funny because we bashed this pick, but I got to go Jahmyr Gibbs, running back for Detroit. And the reason for that,
that's actually a really good choice.
It's a really good one when you look at it. I think in college he played a really similar role to Alvin Kamara. He's going to be filling in, playing a similar role that DeAndre Swift played over there, the former running back. David Montgomery's over there. Most likely he's going to get injured, as he has in the past. So it's going to open up a lot of opportunity for Gibbs to get some extra snaps. He's going to be in the receiving game. And I think that he's going to be in a really good position, especially with how good the Detroit offense is, to be a contributor early and to be maybe one of those front runners to win offensive rookie of the year. But that's like my first guy. I got two more, and I'll name three defensive, but I'll hear who you like, Ben.
Yeah, this is the thing. This was hard. This was a lot harder than I thought it was going to be, because I'm looking at teams and I'm going, oh, CJ Stroud's my obvious choice. But I'm like, no, but he's not in a great situation, to be honest.
That's the thing, is like CJ Stroud is like who we both thought was the top offensive prospect, top quarterback. But in the situation he's in Houston, is it going to be the most, I guess, easy situation to win rookie of the year? Like, what's he going to have to do?
Yeah, I'm actually going to go with a running back as well, but I'm going Bijan Robinson. I think, it might not be the best fit per se. Like I'm not saying like they're going to run the ball, but we know Arthur Smith likes to go old school. And I think Bijan Robinson, I think he fits that kind of old school mentality, the way he ran the ball at Texas. And I think they're going to have a scheme that's going to be like, hey, we're not going to rely on the pass game, right? We're not going to rely on Ritter or anybody like that to lead us in a pass game. We're going to say, hey, we're going to run the ball. We're running down your throats. And we've seen in the past, if you have a really good, like with Gibbs, if you have a really good running game, like a running, I guess, stats wise, I guess in the year, and that's throw in some receiving yards as well, you can win the rookie of the year. And so I really think Bijan Robinson can be that guy if the scheme is right with Arthur Smith and everything they're going down there in Atlanta.
Yeah, I thought about Bijan too for a little bit, and I guess it's just Atlanta has some more mouths to feed in that running back room, I think. Plus the upside of Gibbs with the receiving game. Not that Bijan can't receive, but I think Gibbs is going to be a little bit more involved there. It might end up with more total yards, but I could totally see a Bijan rookie of the year too. My second is going to be, and this would be like an absolute insanity, but Paris Johnson.
Oh, I have him. I have him as number 3. So I'll give you
Paris Johnson, tackle for Arizona. So I looked it up and I couldn't find that any offensive line.
Was Orlando Pace? Was Orlando Pace no, he wasn't rookie of the year?
Let me double check. I couldn't find anyone winning offensive.
Because I can't remember if Orlando Pace was like, or he got votes. He might have got votes, but maybe
he might have gotten some votes. Let me check the Wikipedia, the most reliable source on the internet, to see what his accolades are.
It says as reliable as Joe Biden walking downstairs.
Correct. So he won the Outland in college. He's been on the All-Decade. He's been Pro Bowl, first team, second team, but I don't see a rookie of the year here.
Okay, so then maybe I was wrong. Maybe I misthought.
Yeah, some others I thought might have been close were like Tristan Wirfs, but never's happened before. So this would be
Mangold either.
To my knowledge, this would be like the absolute first time. But the only reason I throw Paris in here is because I think he is one of those guys that is probably going to end up with some insane stats similar to what we saw with Tristan Wirfs in Tampa Bay that first season. And then also, this wasn't a super strong offensive class, I felt like.
Yeah, it's true.
Like we have Bryce Young and CJ Stroud at quarterback, and that's basically it. They're not in the best of situations. We mentioned the running backs could potentially do some stuff, and then there wasn't a whole lot of upside in the receiver tight end game either. So if there ever was a year where an elite offensive lineman could win Offensive Rookie of the Year, I think this would be the season, and that's the only reason I'm going to throw Paris Johnson here. I think he's going to ball out, and maybe it'll, I guess, be a little bit more on people's radar simply because these quarterbacks, running backs, and receivers aren't going to perform as well as maybe some of those past elite prospects did.
Yeah, and I he's at 3 for me, mainly because I felt like, one, I didn't know where else to go, because I agree with you. There's like nothing like in this class. Like
I thought
felt
about
like,
it as like, what wide receiver is in
because
best position
well,
to
that's
win?
what I'm saying.
It's like,
Like
I can't point to one.
So my second one, I'll go with my. So I told you my third. I'll go with my second one here. My second one originally, like I was thinking Jack Smith and Jigba, but I looked like it's a loaded receiver room.
It is like Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf are there.
Addison. He's got Justin Jefferson across from him. I looked at a guy from TCU.
The guy from TCU, Quentin Johnston.
Yeah, but he's
Chargers.
Yeah, but he's in a loaded-ish room, right? You have all these guys.
If you got a healthy Keenan Allen and Mike Williams,
So I'm going to throw this out here, and this is going to go against everything that I have said since the draft. And it hurts me that I'm about to say this guy's name, because there's just part of me that just believes that something crazy, some crazy just junk is going to happen. And that's Anthony Richardson. Like there is something that tells me right now that this guy is going to get thrown into the fire and he's just going to come out like a pearly diamond. And I don't think it's going to happen. Like, let me be very clear. I think there's more of a chance for Bryce Young, Will Levis, or CJ Stroud getting that trophy rather than a guy who's probably going to throw 20 picks this year. But I am saying there is a really strong possibility because of his athleticism and because we all know this doesn't really matter about stats. It's about who brings you the most likes on Instagram. It's going to be Anthony Richardson. So I'm going to go Anthony Richardson as my second one, and it hurts me way beyond that it does.
Let me tell you something about, I guess, quarterbacks that might be in a similar situation as him. Cam Newton, number 1 overall pick, won 6 games as a rookie, but he threw 4,000 yards, rushed for 700, and scored, I think it was 35 total touchdowns.
30-something, yeah.
If Anthony Richardson puts up 4,000 total yards, 30 touchdowns, it could be enough. I just don't think he's going to do it.
I know, but I'm just saying, just my gut feeling on this.
Yeah.
We might be rewinding back at the end of next year and be like, remember when Ben said this back in May? And here we are.
Maybe. Third for me, I just have Bryce Young and CJ Stroud as a tie for third. I don't think they're in the best of situations. I think Bryce might have a little bit more supporting cast around him, but just simply because they're the first and second.
Also, he looks like a little kid, by the way. If you saw that picture, he looks like a little child out there, like a Make-A-Wish kid. Out there.
And here's the other thing is he never looked like that at Alabama, which is a college offensive line, but they put NFL offensive linemen in the league. So it's like you kind of get to see it, but then it's like, man, the difference between NFL and college is insane.
He's so tiny.
So it's just because first and second overall pick. I guess that's mostly why the 2 best quarterbacks in the draft, in my opinion, and everybody loves to give awards to quarterbacks. So,
of course,
Bryce Young, CJ Stroud tied for third.
That's why it's going to be the Robinson that's the Dorian Robinson that's playing for the Browns. Watch, he's just going to somehow come out with it because out of nowhere.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's offense. Unless you wanted to add anything else to Paris Johnson at third.
I got it.
Okay.
Nope. Good
all right,
there.
Defensively, this one's an interesting one. I think there's a lot more guys that are going to be in the mix for that defensive rookie of the year.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, I believe so.
And I'm going to kick it off with Devin Witherspoon, Seattle corner, out of Illinois.
That's a good one.
Yeah, I like that one. We saw, I guess, we've seen some elite corners that maybe didn't even win offensive rookie. They just dominate early. Guys like Jalen Ramsey, Sauce Gardner won it last year. Denzel Ward, Marshawn Lattimore, got corners that came in instantly, made an impact. So I think that's the potential's there. Witherspoon's one of those physical corners, so I don't think he's going to be a guy you can just push around if you're in the NFL, even as an elite receiver. I think he's going to be a challenge to some of those guys. So I really like Witherspoon, the situation he's in with Seattle. I think also Seattle's going to be Another playoff team, so more eyes on him obviously is going to help him out. So Witherspoon is my early favorite right now for
Yeah,
defensive rookie.
yeah. I didn't know where I was going to go with this. I mean, everyone would just say like we'll go Jalen Carter, but he's in such a loaded defense that I think he's not going to get the numbers that I think we would all expect. Right? Like when I think of defense rookie year, I think a guy who's on a pretty, to be honest, a crappy defense. Right? Like let's be honest. Like usually you're
That's
on a
going to be like
crappy
that clear
defense.
cut
Yeah,
best
it's
player
like
on the
clear
defense,
cut the
maybe.
best player. So that's why I'm going with I got to go with Will Anderson. Like I don't think the Texans defense is that good. Like I don't think they're that like elite. And I think he's just going to be that it factor that it keeps him in ball games. I think he'll put up maybe like, the 10 sack range, maybe 11 sack range, a couple, maybe a little bit more tackles for loss. But I had a really tough one because I was tossing up him and Tyree Wilson, two guys that I think are on okay defenses. But I think Will Anderson I think he's upset about his down year last year. I know we're saying down year and he still had a good year, but he had a really rough year last year. And I think he's going to bounce back with, I think, a really, really good year down in Houston.
And Will Anderson is my second guy.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
first
yeah.
defensive player taking the draft, maybe one of the most hyped up defensive prospects for sure. And if he's in that 10 sack range, he's definitely going to have a great shot. Like you said, though, he is one of the only guys on that defense. So I think he's going to be one of those guys that the offenses can kind of key up on. If you can
Yeah.
stop him, you can maybe double team him a little bit more. I don't know. So he's going to have a harder way to go, I think, than maybe
Yeah.
some of these other guys. But Will Anderson, for sure, in the running there is my number two. And
Go, 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 go. Yeah, yeah.
okay, three, I do have Jalen Carter.
Interesting.
Third, simply just because everything you said
Yeah.
about Philly's defense. But unlike Will Anderson, there's going to be a lot of guys that you have to worry about on Philly.
Yeah.
They also lost Vernon Hargraves, who was one of those plugs in the middle of the defensive line. So if Carter can get in there, maybe be a little bit
And
disruptive,
not do anything stupid off the field.
not do anything stupid out the field, get in shape, and just show those flashes that we saw at Georgia. I think he could be one of those guys. And
Yeah.
and here's the other thing: is like be a contributor on a successful team that just
Yeah.
went to the Super Bowl last year in a big market. All eyes are going to be on you. So for those reasons, I got Jalen Carter there. But like you said, there's a lot of guys on that Philly defense that I think are going to be getting attention too. But that also could open the whole, or I guess the door for him to maybe make a little bit more
Yeah.
impact, more one-on-one situations, things like that.
And I was thinking about multiple ways I could go with 2 and 3 here. And 2, I was gonna think about going, Tyree Wilson, but again, I didn't want to have another guy that was like the same to me. So I went. I'm actually gonna go Jack Campbell with Iowa from Iowa for the Lions. And people might think I'm crazy, but I don't know if you've watched Jack Campbell play football. It
Mhm.
is terrifying. The man is just an absolute animal, and I would not be surprised if he has 160 tackles. Like I do not be shocked if this man leads the NFL in tackles. Like that's the way he plays, the physicality. It's what they want in Detroit right now is this physical kind of brute type of linebacker. So I'm gonna go Jack Campbell. I think I probably surprised everyone listening right now that I went inside
You need another
linebacker.
Detroit pick that we bashed.
I know, and another Detroit pick that we bashed. But then I had kind of a tied for third here, and now please excuse me why I have a tie for third. I know it's against rules. One is like I'd say 3A is Christian Gonzalez for the Patriots. Like this dude dropped, and I think it was a beautiful fit with New England. I think they've needed a kind of a shutdown corner, I think, for a while now. And you get Christian Gonzalez, and I think, dude, this dude could have a great, great year. Kind of like Weatherspoon, like you said. But I think it's Christian Gonzalez for me at 3A. And then 3B is actually I can never say his name. Kalaja Conchi from Pittsburgh, kind of a mini Aaron Donald. He's going to be down in Tampa Bay. They've needed an inside guy down there. And I think he could have a big, kind of the same way as Jalen Carter, but with less people around him, have that big opportunity to step up and do some damage.
New England has hit a lot of corner picks over the
Yeah.
years too. You think of guys,
Stephen Gilmore.
Yeah, I think there's all guys that New England drafted, like guys like Stephon Gilmore, Asante
McCourty
Samuel,
brothers.
The McCourties. Yeah, like they do really well drafting corners. They don't usually miss on them. So yeah, Christian Gonzalez would definitely be in the running there, I'd say too. Man, so yeah, that's pretty much everything football related that we're going to
Yes,
talk today as
sir.
far as professionally, but college, I did wanna
Oh,
touch base
geez.
with Ben
Oh,
about
gosh.
Jeremiah Smith's
Let's start
recruitment
with this.
because since we've last recorded, Dylan Raiola has decided he's going to Georgia.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
recommitted to a
The
school.
High State did get a quarterback though, so we
They
did.
did. So not so much the miss on Raiola because you did get Aaron Nolan, but Raiola is after Ohio State's prize
Yeah.
2024 wide receiver prospect Jeremiah
Yeah.
Smith, I believe the top wide receiver in the
Yeah.
class. He just took a visit to Georgia. Ohio State fans have been flipping out on
Yeah.
Twitter. Ben, any nervousness
No,
from you about where Jeremiah Smith might be going, or do
you
you think
know,
he's just taking these visits because he can?
I mean, this is the thing I've learned is he's from Florida, which means you never believe any of these Florida athletes because they always have their own mind of what they're doing, right? Nothing against Florida. I coach with a guy from Florida, but um, this is where I sit, and I talked with my dad about this. And you know, Josh, I'm the biggest like proponent of like, you know, once you're committed, kind of stay committed. You know, don't be going out and trying to like juggle the apple cart, right? Um, this is where I sit right now. I still believe that Brian Hartline is the best recruiter in college football. And I believe as long as Brian Hartline is at Ohio State and is in control of that recruiting sector of wide receiver and stuff, I I don't see how you can as Jeremiah Smith go, how many wide receivers have been taken in the last 6 years by NFL teams in the first round or first couple rounds? Georgia has one. I think Ohio State has like 6 or 7, right? What development has been going on? And I'm not saying Georgia doesn't know how to develop players. I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is you have Brian Hartline who builds a relationship with those players. And I get it. Raiola's down there, but let's be honest. Like, it's the same as Aaron Noland or whoever. Like, they're both going to be freshmen in college. Look what happened to Arch Manning. He looked awful in the spring game. He looked awful. I'm not saying Raiola is going to be crap, but it's the same hype that we were giving Arch Manning. Now we're giving to Raiola. Now maybe Raiola is a little bit better prospect overall, but what I'm saying is I think you got to give this time. Do I believe that he should be allowed to go and do these tours I'm calling them, or these visits? Sure, whatever. You know, Ohio State fans are freaking out over him wearing the Georgia gear. Dude, I wore Ohio State gear at Cedarville. I knew athletes at Cedarville that were committed to Cedarville, coming to Cedarville, wearing like other D2 colleges stuff because they got it for free. Like, he's not going to turn down free gear. Like, he's a human. Now, there's a part of me, Josh, that is very, very, very nervous. That's saying like, we lose this guy, but I always believe in what Ohio State's doing, and I believe in what Brian Hartline, the guys he gets. Where has he missed the last few years, Josh? Can you name a guy that he's missed on that has been like, let's say a guy's left, right? And he has to get a replacement. Those replacements he's hit on. He has not missed on a guy that's come in and done what he's doing. And if you're Jeremiah Smith, look what he's doing with Marvin Harrison Jr. right now. You're telling me that you can get better coaching at Georgia? Prove it to me. And if that's what he feels like he needs to do, then go do it. Because Ohio State there's surely plenty of guys that want to come play for Brian Hartline. So that's my like short answer verbatim.
Yeah, I gotcha. I know Carnell Tate kind of was trolling about where he was going to go, and then ended up deciding to go to Ohio State. But that was when
he was always
wasn't
with
initially
Tennessee, though.
committed.
Yeah, and he was always like going to Tennessee. Even after he was committed, he was
Yeah,
always
he was
visiting
like
Tennessee.
leaning Tennessee. I don't think he ever committed though. So then he finally committed to Ohio State, and it's like, okay, well, when you're on committed, it makes sense that you could do all these things. But when you're a commitment or a committed
what is your
player,
thought though then? Like, as someone that lives in Ohio that's not necessarily a Ohio State fan, you know, you watch Ohio State, but what do you feel about the situation? Do you feel like a lot of fans overreacting because they see the potential in him, or do you think it's like a reality thing? Like, hey, this could happen.
I mean, I think it's a reality. What are the chances that Jeremiah Smith is taking a visit to Georgia and has absolutely zero intent? Like,
Yeah, of course.
there's got to be at least 1% thought that
Yeah,
maybe
of course.
Georgia will change my mind. But I'm also kind of like, maybe we need to get rid of the terms committed and decommit and stuff like that, because it's like, if you're committed to Ohio State, then why are you like out visiting Georgia? If you're committed to like a girlfriend, why are you going on dates with other girls? You know what I mean? Things like that. So yeah, if you're Ohio State, I don't think you can overreact too much, because if you end up making a fool of yourself on the internet. I mean, I don't know how much kids read into that kind of stuff. But it's like if they end up getting the vibe that the fan base hates them just because they went to visit Georgia, maybe they'll be like, well, maybe I'll just stay down here then, you know?
But I think too, like, and my dad used to say this all the time, like if someone doesn't want to be somewhere, then don't force him to be there. Like if he doesn't want to play for Ohio State, then don't force this guy to come on. Look what happened to Quentin Ewers, right? He came on Ohio State for a year and then he was gone. Like, do you want that situation where he comes in, he might not play a ton his freshman year, he'll play, but he won't play maybe a ton. Are you willing to have that situation? At the end of the day, Brian Hartline, I believe in Brian Hartline and Ryan Day and the staff. I mean, if we can get anybody to look like Marvin Harrison Jr., I mean, Marvin Harrison Jr. wasn't a 5-star. He was a 4-star, right? Chris Olave was a 3-star. Wilson is the only guy that came into Ohio State as the top, him and Fleming as the top 2 guys in their class. Look at Fleming. He's kind of fizzled out. But yet you have all these other dudes that you can count on. And if I'm those guys, I'm like, sure, heck, go to Georgia. I'll take your spot, right? So at the end of the day, I think it comes down to, what does Jeremiah Smith want? Does he want to go win championships? Then sure, maybe Georgia gives you that better shot short term. Do you want to become a better player? Do you want to become an elite NFL prospect? Who's the wide receiver coach at Georgia? Do you know, Josh?
Couldn't tell you.
Who's the wide receiver coach at Ohio State? I guarantee people that not even Ohio State fans could tell you that Brian Hartline is the Ohio State is the wide receiver coach at Ohio State. That's the difference. That's the difference it gives you.
For sure. And even going into looking ahead to 2024, like Egbuka and Marv are going to be gone. I imagine the receiver room, like the guys at the top, are probably going to be Jaden Ballard, Brandon Inniss, Carnell Tate, like a junior and a couple sophomores. There's a chance Jeremiah Smith could see the field even as a freshman at Ohio State.
And
just like they're talking about Carnell Tate seeing the field this year as a freshman.
So again, Ohio State fans, look at me. All right, Dad, I know you're probably freaking. No, he's probably not freaking out. But no, but seriously, Ohio State fans, if you're listening to this, like, don't overreact to the point where you're just like, you're ticked off at a kid for just doing what he's allowed to do. There's no rules in place, so let the kid be a kid. If he's interested in Georgia, if he goes to Georgia, like, okay, we'll clap him up and he can go on, whatever. At the end of the day, we want the guys that want to be at Ohio State, not the guys that are just there for whatever reason. And I think at the end of the day, Aaron Nolan might end up being a better overall prospect than Raiola. I mean, he's been balling it up, and he's a lefty. How many Ohio State lefty quarterbacks do you see? It's freaking awesome. Just saying. Hype him up.
Hype him up. All right. Well, that kind of takes care of all the football talk then.
Yes, sir.
Thought we could maybe move over and wrap up with some baseball discussion, just kind of like who's been hot lately.
Yeah.
Maybe
not the Reds.
Not the Reds, right? Gosh, I mean, I was gonna say, Tampa Bay's still heating up out in the American League. 35 wins, I think, is the most.
The Pirates have went from being hot to like ice cubes.
25 and 23 right now. I know O'Neal Cruz has been hurt. I don't know if they have any other injuries.
The A's are the top team in the MLB right now.
Gosh, dude. Let me tell you something though about the Rays though. Like that whole division right now,
dude,
the worst team is Toronto. Toronto's in last place with a 26 and 23 record, which would be good enough to be first place in the American League Central.
Dude, American League Central is awful, dude. That
awful
is one of the
division.
That is one of the worst divisions. Like even
Minnesota's
the Reds,
one game above 500 and in first place.
Dude, the Reds are like, if they were in the AL Central, they'd literally only be like 2 games out of at like 2 or 3 games like within second place.
They would be almost third place.
It's mind-boggling. But
wild,
speaking of teams, right, like things like the Reds, by the way, are calling up more dudes I've never heard of, or are like, they call up McLean, which he's been playing pretty well, but they're calling up these dudes that I've never heard of. I'm like, okay, we're at the point now of my Reds fandom that like I don't even care anymore because they're just calling up dudes that get blasted by like 7 home runs in an inning. Like, it's just ridiculous, mind-boggling. But anyways, go with where you're going. I'm just salty at the Reds. Like normal.
Yeah, I'm just gonna throw out a couple more interesting stats too. Since you brought up the A's have scored.
So bad, dude.
The A's have scored 180 runs this season. Do you want to take a guess at where that ranks out of the 30 MLB teams?
30.
27th.
Wait, what? Who have they scored more than?
The 3 teams that they have scored more than are. No, actually, the Reds are 21st.
Oh, yeah, we're
the
top 25.
teams. The 3 teams are Miami, 171.
Okay, makes sense. Yeah.
Cleveland, 169.
Not surprised.
Not surprised at all. And Detroit, dead last with
Okay, Detroit's bad though.
166.
Detroit's also bad.
Now, do you want to guess the one team above Oakland right now in runs?
Um, I'm gonna go
It's a super explosive lineup that's been underachieving.
Phillies.
Not Phillies. Phillies actually have been not too bad offensively.
Okay,
They
I'm
have
gonna. All
been
right, so now, give me a hint. National League or AL? AL or NL?
National League West.
Oh, the Padres.
Padres have scored
Yeah,
189
they've been
runs,
awful. They've been
despite a
awful this
lineup
year.
that features Manny Machado, Fernando
Juan
Tatis, and Juan
Soto.
Soto.
Do you wish the Guardians would have got Juan Soto now?
I still kind of do because the prospects that everyone insisted they needed to hold on to are still in AAA and not on the major league roster.
So wait, you mean all the saltiness I keep seeing on your Instagram stories about when they go finally every time they call up a guy that you've been wanting to be
They
called?
called up Bo Naylor, a catcher that could definitely hit over 200 for the doubleheader with the Mets, and then they sent him back down after the series without getting a single at bat. Like I'm pretty
Dude, they're
sure that if
becoming
you
the
check,
Reds. They're becoming the Reds.
I'm pretty sure if you check the job description for Cleveland Indians catcher on LinkedIn, one of the requirements is to have a lifetime batting average that starts with 1, because any catcher that hits over 200, not welcome. Either stays in AAA or gets moved to first base or DH like Victor Martinez and Carlos Santana. They do not want a catcher to hit over 200 or even hit good of any kind. Like through the first 2 weeks in May, the catcher position was like a combined 0 for 40 something, Ben. Between Cam Gallagher and Mike Zunino, they were 0 for 40 something. I think 0 for 41 exactly at the catcher position the first 2 weeks in May. It was bad, very bad. Bo Naylor's apparently this guy that's hitting over 300. He's hitting bombs. He probably would lead the.
Never call him up though.
They're never when they do call him up, he doesn't play either. And then I
Dude.
hear about how great this Brian Raccio shortstop is, and Tyler Freeman and Gabe Arias has been the only one that's really been able to see action. They've been putting him in right field, and
hey,
there's some kind of disconnect between upper management and Terry Francona, because the plan that I
hey, you
think
can have
the
Luke
front
Maley.
office had. What?
You can have Luke Maley from the Reds. He's hitting like 300. And he's like
Luke
raking.
Maley just came from Cleveland. He was their backup catcher last year that couldn't hit 200.
So, fun fact. I go with
Let's
that.
hear a fun fact.
Well, this is the fun fact. So, Will Benson, right, who used to play for the Guardians, he was raking in preseason, right? Like he was hitting like 400 almost, had like 8 home runs, like 16 RBIs. You know what he's done in the big leagues this year? He's 1 for 47. 1 for 47. They sent him down the minors, and they're like, man, he's had a rough go of it. A rough go of it. The man was going to be the starting left fielder, and he's went 1 for, but Jake Fraley has stepped up. The Viking himself has been the only bright spot for the Reds, to be honest. In India, that's it. Hunter Green's been trash. Ashcraft has been trash. But
I'm glad that we could vent about how bad our baseball teams are, but we have to end it on a high note with bringing back our top 5 lists. And we are going to rank today the top 5 logos in Major League Baseball.
Which, by the way, is a lot harder than you realize, right, Josh? You tell them what you said before the show.
After looking through all the logos, after I suggested that to Ben, I didn't realize that Major League Baseball had maybe the largest collection of boring logos in all of professional sports. I mean, when you look at the hats, you usually see just a block letter for somebody. So we're not really going to be judging what you see on the hats, but more so maybe the patches on the sleeve or the
do we mean current logo or like old logo? Like current logo, correct?
I think we got to go current.
Yeah, current.
I think if you're going to do an old one, it has to be an honorable mention.
Maybe we can do that in the summer. We can do like an old school logo for top 5.
The best former.
How about logos. Do you want to start? We will go 5 to 1, right? 5 to 1.
We'll go 5 to 1.
Okay, you go first. 5.
All right, number 5 for me, and it's mostly just because of how iconic it is. I got to go with the New York Yankees logo. Oh. The NY on the hat is classic. You see it all over the place.
It's global, and no one knows what it means over here in Europe.
Right,
no clue.
The top hat logo too patch is kind of cool. As much as I hate the Yankees, I think the logo is iconic as it is. It's one of the best we got in the league.
Yeah. 5 for me. This was a tough one because it's like 5 at the 5 point. You're like, it's almost crap, but it's still good enough to be in the top 5. I'm gonna go. This was a challenge, but I think I'm gonna go iconic with you in the sense I'm gonna go with the LA Dodgers. I think it's just an iconic look of the LA, right? Like I think it's again one of those. It's like well-known kind of like you go anywhere and even in Europe and you see an LA Dodgers hat. And I just think that with the blue, it just looks real slick. I think the LA just to me it just looks really good. I think that's me. I'm kind of with you, that kind of
Yeah.
iconic look.
And the Dodgers are actually 4 for me as well. So I'll just continue with that for what you said. The LA, you see it everywhere, not even
Yeah.
just with like Dodger stuff, but other companies will take that LA, the design, the L and the A right there, and then the script Dodgers across the chest,
Yeah.
just
That's also
like you
really
said,
awesome.
it's iconic. So 4 for me, Dodgers.
Oh, trying to think here. So this is where I have a couple that I switched around. I'm gonna go 4. I'm gonna go. Oh no, that's too low. So I'm gonna switch it up now. I'm gonna go Phillies. I'm gonna go Phillies for me at 4. I think
Mm.
the iconic P. Okay, that's okay. That's just not good to be saying out loud. But the logo P, and then the Phillies across the chest. I think I agree with you. Kind of with the Dodgers, it just looks so iconic.
They got the
Like,
broken Liberty Bell
yeah,
in the background
I
for
just
the patch.
I love it. Yeah, like I love the Phillies logo, and so I'm gonna go with that. So
That's a good
yeah,
one.
so I'm gonna go with Phillies at 4.
Yeah. Um, we'll move to 3 for me, and I'm gonna go with the Blue Jays.
Oh, I didn't think of the Blue Jays.
Out
I'm
of
mad at
all,
myself.
there's a lot of bird logos in
That's true.
baseball, but I think the Blue Jays takes the cake. Just it's a
I'm very worried I'm going very classic on my list, which is scaring me at this point.
I tried to stay away from the classic ones and give teams credit for getting a little
Yeah, that's
creative.
true.
And
That's true.
the Blue Jays, I really can't point to like one thing I like about it other than like it's just a really good logo.
Yeah.
And then when you think of the name Blue Jays too, it's like the baddest of all the birds, like the most
Yeah.
intimidating ones that we got in baseball. Like the Cardinals, the Orioles, they're like
Yeah.
show birds, but the Blue Jays not only look cool, but like they're bullies apparently too.
It's like a jerk. Yeah. No, 3 for me. I this one's pretty easy for me. I'm gonna go with the Miami Marlins. I think the Marlins
Mm.
logo and the color wheel, it just looks awesome. Like I never liked it when it first came out. When they first updated like the Marlins and they changed everything. I really like the old iconic look. But this, I think it's awesome with the M, and then you have you have like the Marlins always somewhere in something. I just think the Miami Marlins and the colors combining with it, it just looks really cool. So I'm gonna go Miami Marlins number 3. And I don't even think it's close for me at that 3 spot. I think it's Marlins pretty easily.
Mm. So this is another one that might lean into like the classic look, but as much as I hate the team, the White Sox script socks is such a clean look to me. The black and
I,
white
you're
classic
stretching on me, man. That's
look.
not even in my top 6.
No, man.
No, no, no,
Yeah,
no,
it's like
no. It's
I'm
just
a
so
big
basic.
I know, but like for what it is, I feel like they just nailed it, dude.
Yeah.
And I always look at like and I know this isn't the logo, but the White Sox like city edition jerseys
Yeah.
that they got are so cool. And just like that Sox script right there, like on their hats, that
Oh
just
yeah, yeah,
looks
yeah.
so good.
I mean, it's good. I'll give you it. I mean, it looks good. I just don't feel like it's in the top 5.
It doesn't have the creativity like that the Marlins
No.
and the Phillies have, but it pops like that black logo on like the white jerseys or wherever.
Yeah.
I love it.
Um, I feel like I'm gonna get a lot of grief for this. Maybe I don't know, but I'm gonna go with uh, and this is the tough because I don't like that I'm saying this. I'm gonna go with the Houston Astros. I'm going with the Houston Astros. Like,
Houston Astros.
I just think like it looks really cool. Like not the team and what they've done in the past, but like if you look at their logo, like the updated logo, not the old one, but the new one, that orange and that blue. I think it's like a diamond behind the H. I think, if I'm right, if I can remember right at the top of my head.
I think it is a diamond.
Yeah, but it just looks real. I think it's really sleek, and like the way they do Astros across the chest or Houston, I think the bolded letters just look really really clean. I've always been a fan of the Astros and like their kind of color combination and the way that the logo looks when it comes on the screen or whatever. So I'm gonna go Houston Astros.
Man. Now number
Are
one.
we gonna? I think we might go to the same one on this, but you go. But there could be a chance we're on the same route on this.
I'm nervous to state my number one, and I shouldn't be because this is all opinions and just the one that I like the
No,
best.
stop it. No, you didn't.
The Los Angeles Angels.
Okay, I thought you were gonna go with the Guardians. I thought you were about to just
No, I
go.
hate that one.
I
That
thought
ranks
you
30 out of 30.
were
I hate that one. Chief Wahoo. was a top 5 logo when it existed, but
So
yeah, the Angels, the halo around the
that's
A,
disgusting.
the
Oh, it's
bevel and emboss
gross.
to make it look 3D, it just pops off the
It's
hats,
gross.
off the jersey. You hate it?
I hate it.
Oh
It's
man, I love
gross.
the Angels logo, dude.
I
Man,
mean, mine also though. My number one. Maybe you didn't think of this one. I'm gonna go the Arizona Diamondbacks as my top logo. The new logo with the snake and like the way they've combined that with their city uniforms. Like I love the Arizona Diamondbacks, kind of like that new style logo they got. I mean, it's not super new, but it just looks, I think, really cool.
you're going with like the snake one?
It should be the one that's on
Are you
their
looking?
most.
Are you talking about this one?
That one, no, not that one. There's the one with the A. Maybe
Is
they
it
only.
this one?
Yes, that one, like
Mm.
with a snake.
Yeah, I
It
think
kind of,
that's like a alternate or something like that. But
yes,
oh, and then there's this one that has like the teal border
yeah.
around it
There's
too.
that one, and then the normal one as well. The D with the snake as well. Like I think the
Yeah,
combination of those three and the way the Diamondbacks looks over it is like phenomenal. Like
yeah, that is a
anytime
good
I go
one.
career mode, anytime I do career mode on like any Major League Baseball game, I'm always the Diamondbacks because I just think their jerseys and everything is cool. The logo.
This is
Honorable mention.
apparently another one that has been floated around
Yeah.
too.
There's that one too. Yeah, that's like more of a modern one.
Mm.
Now, I will say honorable mention for me is the Reds' new logo with their city uniforms. Because I'll be honest with you, those uniforms, the
That
black
is one thing
uniforms,
the Cincinnati Reds have gotten right.
that is beautiful.
The
That is one of
city
the
edition blacked out. Yeah,
most beautiful uniforms. And I told my mom, I said, my birthday's coming up. If you want to know anything you want to get me, something with that city uniform is perfect with me. So
man.
So that's our top 5. So let us
Top
know.
5.
Yeah, let us know what you think. I feel like there's gonna be a lot of disagreements in the comments because I think both of us were not on the same page at all in this. I think
I
completely went
think you're
different
gonna get
ways.
a little bit more love on your list than me. Not gonna
I mean,
lie.
you went the freaking Angels first. That's just sad. You have a
I love
sad
it.
taste.
I
A
have a
sad
sad
taste.
taste in logos.
But
And
honestly, let just so you know, people, go look up all 30 logos of teams.
you
Tell
try
me,
to come up with
tell
5
me,
good
tell me who you're
ones.
gonna get put in there. The only thing that might be worse is Major League Soccer. That might be the only one that's worse than doing baseball.
We should do more logo lists though. Maybe
We should.
the NHL or the NBA
Oh,
with
that'd
the
be a good one.
finals
Yeah,
and the Stanley Cup
let's
going
do
on.
it. That is a great idea, Josh. That's what
We'll
you're here
go with
for.
one of them next episode, and then the other one that we didn't do after that.
For sure, for sure. Sounds like a plan. So, Josh, I hope you've had a fun time back. We're back, baby. We're back and rolling.
Good
We're on
times.
this, and it's daylight still as I'm finishing, which is awesome. But no, anyways, we hope you guys had an amazing time with us. We're so glad to have your guys' support. If you've loved this episode of the podcast and you're watching on YouTube, hit that thumbs up button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, get us back up and rolling with some new likes and some subscriptions. And then also, if you're listening to us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, let us know by just leaving us a rating. You can share it with your friends and family. We kind of see those kind of things happen, and it's really cool and awesome. And enjoy this nice weather. It is getting really beautiful out. Go out, watch a baseball game, maybe go play some pickup basketball, or maybe just watch sports on TV. Either way, we hope you guys have a great upcoming weekend, depending on where you're listening to this. And until next time, we'll see ya.